You talked about how Miami is seeing a big boom from the tech industry. What do you think is driving that? Why is the tech industry gravitating toward Miami right now?
Well, I think it's COVID enabled a lot of it. It's just the opportunity, the Florida, the Miami market, the Miami scene is not as restrictive as the rest of the U.S. That's one. The weather was great. I mean, there yes, definitely hot months and during May and August, and May and October, basically. But it's really an open space. And then you see the tax incentive, which is important. And the other thing is, as Mayor Suarez has done a lot of effort in terms of how can I help and bring companies in. So there is an environment. I've been here for the past 5 years, so I've seen the change really relevant in terms of companies coming here from northeast and the west coast. We're seeing even when we go out, you see license plates from all over. It usually would have been in Florida. And then you see the restaurants packed. You see there's no real estate, which is happening all over America, but here is super expensive. It has turned out. But I think what has also driven is like the interest and the generation, the millennials and the Gen Z. They're activating an environment where previously was not. It's very hard to find talent here. Now you're seeing universities and you're seeing campuses expanded. You see, it's a completely different move. And plus, you have the concept or the positioning of Miami being the capital of Latin America. So you see also the capital inflow from Brazil, from Colombia, Mexico. You see a lot of that coming here. So that it made like a perfect combination. And I think it's here to stay. They say people are coming back or going back. In terms of positioning, Miami has worked. If you see Miami as a brand, you see it has been working a lot in terms of repositioning and infrastructure, and you see like ghettos. You see like different spaces like Wynwood and then Alapata. You see all these happening, all these places that are developing. And it's growing. You see the vibe and the scenes. It's amazing to see a transformation of a company. I'm part of the Endeavor. I don't know if you're aware of the Endeavor. It's a nonprofit network and for entrepreneurships, and it's a super big chapter. It's been developing a lot of helping unicorns coming about from in and out from Latin America and the rest of the world. And you see the difference when we started off with Endeavor trying to help the positioning in Miami and what it is now. So you see the Bitcoin, and you see the Miami Tech Month, and then the other aspect you see also is Basel. Art Basel is big. And just recently we had the Formula One, the first Formula One in Florida also. So it's moving, it's changing.
How would you describe the difference with like marketing for, say, Latin America compared to, say, the Hispanic community? Because like when I'm sitting here listening to you, it's like, okay, Miami is really big Latin community, but then when you have like other pockets in the United States, it's more Hispanic. Like, what would you say is like the difference in the marketing between the two?
Well, first of all, there's no one Hispanic group.
Okay.
So each, once you learn what are the nuances, what are the differences into, they might all speak Spanish, but the Spanish coming from Guatemala is different from the one coming from Colombia, the one from Mexico. So they call an avocado an aguacate, avocado. They do different wordings and different things and different needs. So what is similar in the Latin America countries is that they're very the trust in the system. They don't have that much of because of the essence of a rule of law and the spaces or the countries that would come. So when they come here, that's one of the things. As opposed to the Hispanics in the U.S., they already have that traction. They already have that knowledge. Then you see education level. There are differences in the education levels. You see different needs. One, they're big savers, or they have a huge saving mindset, as opposed to the day to day. So it's a quite a difference. And what I've seen, for instance, when we repositioned Mercantile Bank to Amaranth, which is in Texas and in Florida, coming from a Latin background and starting to becoming a community bank. So it's shifted. And the biggest essence is like there's no one. It's a combination. It's similar to what's in Florida. You say Florida, it's Latin, where there's a breed of so many Latin cultures that is, it's just like there's a Miami culture. It's not a country culture. But in terms of Hispanics, I would hesitate towards getting everybody into one bucket.
Yeah.
The same as you wouldn't put the East Coast mid-market in the U.S. to the West Coast. You wouldn't put them in the same bucket.
That's interesting. So when you have a community with so many different cultures coming together, and even like you said, different nuances between languages. If you were to put something out, say a TV commercial, and it was going to be in Spanish language or something on social media, say you were going to put something out that had, you were trying to appeal to a certain group, do you really have to segment it? Do you have to say, let's put Guatemalan language on this piece and then target this one toward the Cuban population? Is that the best strategy?
I'm not sure, Matt. The idea for me, what has worked is getting as not sanitized as uniform in terms of accent, in terms of language, trying to use the words that it works for all of them, as opposed to trying to and if you're targeting as Argentinian, target there, or going to a neutral language, which is it's funny. For the Panama people have a super neutral accent, and Venezuelan would have like this way of speaking, and it's in terms of language, in terms of words, in terms of concepts. But the idea is maybe the Guatemalan that you're targeting is in a different state, a mature state or need, that target the need as opposed to target the actual where the person coming from. So there might be many people coming in from migrating to the U.S. So in that migration, you might tackle the migration as opposed to where you're coming from.
And the motive behind the migration, right? If you're saying like they have a problem, if you're saying there's a problem and then there's like a solution, it's like you're trying to find the most common problem that they're all having.
That's what I'm saying. It's like connect those dots. And one of the biggest Hispanic companies, like Goya. And Goya, if it's Goya, it's got to be good. Si es Goya, siempre tiene que ser bueno. So it's a brand that has pivoted from the typical or having just ethnic food as opposed to everyday food into these markets. So that's a good approach, but it has, if you see their portfolio, they have Spanish from Spain, they have Mexican, they have different, and they have Cuban, and they have all these from the essence that they have. But at the same token, they have a broader spectrum type of brand. So they're working both. And so if you see their recipes, it's not my client, but you see the recipes that they have, and they tackled like the different nuances of the whole Hispanic scene. So they're doing that.
It's a good strategy for avoiding pandering too, because you definitely don't want to do that. But if you focus on the problem, it's just a lot more universally human, correct?
That's correct. So they're going to the essence of how I felt when I was with my grandparents at my home way back at home. So they're going for the memories. They're going for more a positioning. If you go the spectrum of positioning, you can go either the product or what are you engaging? How are you engaging with the customers, or how you make them feel? So they're going to the end of how they make them feel, and more purpose driven and more emotional, if you will. So that for me, it works. It works for companies like Pan, which is, I don't know if you've heard of arepas, which is also cornmeal bread. There's a huge migration from my country to the rest of the world. 5 million people have migrated my country. So that brand took advantage of getting that all over across the world and having ambassadors. So these people that have fled the country have gone to Argentina and different spaces in Europe. So they all of a sudden they get this brand and they started promoting the brand. So now the ambassadors are the actual. It's a true word of ambassadors, not the influencer type of things that we see today. There's like the true essence of the brand that made me feel. And it's now here in this country. It's a Amsterdam or different spaces, and they're using Derepa all over the world. That brand we're working with.
You talk about your home country, Venezuela. Right. What is the business climate like there?
I just arrived yesterday from there, so there's a huge entrepreneurial space happening. So you see the kids, even the smallest spaces that they're doing, since you can't have American companies working there just for restrictions. And then you see the equivalent of Uber, the equivalent of all these solutions that you see abroad, they're into that space. It's actually a very small country, so the idea of what you see is all natural, organic. You can see all these developments happening, but struggling. That's like 1 or 2% of the population. You see the other 98 are. You have a lot of percentages in extreme poverty. You have other problems are not as nice. But in terms of business environment, I see more on the entrepreneurial side working.